Hello guys, how you doing? So in today's video, I'm gonna try to give my thoughts about the Invincible Season 3 Episode 5. By the way, you could have noticed that I haven't done previous 4 episodes in Season 3. But I thought I would just start with this one because this one is the most recent. So yeah, that's it. I'm basically late to the party. But anyways, I don't want to break down this episode chronologically and mention every single detail. I just want to talk about some scenes and reflect on them with my thoughts on it. So this episode was more or less focused on that Titan plotline. By the way, I felt like this plotline would be brought up more in the season 2, but we actually haven't tapped into that at all in season 2. So we returned to it in season 3. I gotta say, to be quite honest with you, it was probably the weakest episode out of the season 3. But I have to say I still enjoyed it. But we're gonna be talking about the overall ratings on the far end of the video. So we are starting with the Titan and his daughters. So we see that he overtook the city. He lives a luxury life with his family, so that's cool. But he's actually threatened by the Order. The Order is an organization which, does the illegal activities and so on. Maybe we're gonna tap into that later in the series because it was foreshadowed that it might be a thing. But he has to free the Multipole from the prison. First things first, I gotta say, Multipole is like, I'm not gonna say he is badly written, because maybe he is written to be unlikable, but I don't really feel a sympathy towards him. And you can say, yeah, he's a villain, you shouldn't feel sympathy towards him, but I would disagree. I have to say, even though he is a villain, I don't think anything to him. I feel like he's just badly written. Like, if you were to write a series, you want your villains to be charismatic to some extent, but this, I don't feel like they've done a good job with him. And also Duplicate, but I don't feel like I'm gonna talk about her. They showed the history of their relationship in the show, where they were growing up, the Paul with the Kate. They were trained to use their powers, and for some reason Paul got mad for them because they were using them as weapons, but they actually have not yet, and he decided to escape just to be a murderer, so he became a weapon. Like, his motivation is really weird. But if you have a different take on it, you can explain it in the comments. But I still do assert that he is a weirdly written character. So finally, I have to say Mark and Eve are dating. They're actually really used to be in the Mark's house. They're talking, and then they come up with a business idea so they can afford their own place. The idea was about selling a service to the prison that Mark is gonna protect it. So that's kind of cool. By the way, if it was up to me, I feel like there would be countless of easier things to make money if you have a powers. Like, imagine offering to some rich billionaire or millionaire personal protection or travel. I mean, imagine, like, if I were to have a superpowers, I would be offering flights, like either for a entertainment purpose or as a quick travel purpose, because we know Mark is a Viltrumite. He's probably the fastest being on the planet Earth. And imagine if you are a billionaire, you probably have some enemies and you can be afraid at times. So I feel like a billionaire would be willing to pay someone just to travel really quick and also be protected as well. So I don't feel like meddling with prisons. Let's be honest, they don't have money. They are paid by a government. They probably not have enough funds, but individuals have a lot of money. So that would be my business idea if I were to be a superhero. You can type yours in the comments. Following the episode, there was this subplot line that Oliver wants to have friends, that he wants to, hang out with them, have a skateboarding session with them and so on. That was kind of cool, but I feel like it was there just to expand on the character, but it wasn't really entertaining for the audience. I mean, at least for me, but it was cool to see, but I feel like it was kind of a filler. It didn't need to be a filler. They could have showed it with a more entertaining way, but I'm not something of a writer myself. I'm pretty bad at writing, so I wouldn't do the better job, trust me guys. I mean, when it comes to other heroes like Guardians of the Globe, Rex and Shrinking Grey, they do have something sparkling, but when it comes to Rex, I don't want to spoil anything. So let's move on. Back on the Titan and Machine Head. Actually, Machine Head appeared in this episode, which I was quite perplexed. I wasn't expecting him showing up, but he actually showed up. That was kind of crazy. Guys, I want to ask you, do you feel like Machine Head is an augmented human, or is it actually, a machine? Is it actually a robot? Because he's got, human hands and feet, but that can be, an artificial skin or something. But we could have seen in a season 1 that his head opened up like it was a robot, so they made it really unclear. So he and Titan had a little talk in a prison. They actually arranged to do some collaboration, but that was actually not shown in the episode itself, so we didn't see that until the actual end, which was quite surprising. Then the Titan tried to follow his plan with the help of Invincible. That joke that this is still some bullshit, that actually caught me off guard. One thing I'm gonna remember from this episode was that scene, but I don't want to digress. So he tried to pursue Invincible, but he was reluctant. Actually, I like that Mark stood his ground, because I was actually kind of afraid that Mark is gonna help him. Like no. I mean, ultimately he helped him, but there was nothing that Mark could do otherwise, so there's that. But I like that Mark stood his ground. Even though the Titan tried to, persuade him with the emotion that he runs the city better, he tried to play it on the emotions like in the season 1, but, Mark was reluctant to do anything. He actually wanted to imprison him, but that didn't happen. So finally, the climax of the episode, the guy who turns into the dragon. I mean, I have to say I didn't expect he was gonna be that overpowered. But actually I recorded a video that I have a really big problem with Mark holding back. And at the beginning of the fight, I actually hated, but Mark held it back as well. Then we found out that the powers of the dragon comes from different reality and he heals. But Mark still at the beginning of the fight held it back, and that caused a lot of damage and casualties. So there's that. But as we later found out, it was a setup, and the Machine Head and the Isotope and Titan decided to eliminate him, and the Machine Head actually shot him in the head. So from the Mark standpoint, that problem took care of itself, so that was quite cool. But then the Titan told him that he actually helped him make a diversion. But I wouldn't say Mark helped him, he was just doing his job anyways, right? And actually it was kind of implied that Multiple escaped, even though Eve tried to stop him. He, somehow escaped, even though I think it was lazy writing, but let's just say he was skilled enough. And that's basically the end of the episode. Then we can see on the far end of the episode that Titan rejected to be in that secret club, that order, and that just ended. And that was foreshadowed that old guy was probably gonna survive and the dragon is gonna return. Maybe yes, maybe no, who knows? Could be, couldn't be. And that was basically the whole episode. I mean, I really realized that in this episode there was no Omni-Man, there was no Nolan. And I feel like most of the people are watching these episodes or Invincible itself because of Nolan. And I have to say I'm kinda in that club as well, because I feel like he's the best written character in that series. And now I mean animated series, not in comics, so there's that. Anyways, that was the episode. I would rate it like 3.5 stars out of 5. I mean, that's quite good for being the worst episode out of the season 3. So yeah, there's that. If you want to express your opinions about this episode, write it in the comments. Have a nice rest of the day and see you tomorrow. So bye bye.